Hello, welcome, hello. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Hi, welcome to this VOUNET session. VOUNET is the association representing of the commercial broadcast in Germany. My name is Julie June. I'm the host of today's session. I work at Radio Europe. I'm a radio station for young adults where I have two shows. One is all about the newest music coming up, and one is about video games and gaming in general. But enough about me. We're here to celebrate two things. One is 40 years of private broadcasting in Germany, and this is a cheer worth it, guys, or? Thank you so much. 2024 is also the year of the news, joined by the media initiative Use the News. This session will be about the importance of trustworthy information and the future role of radio as a news information channel. Radio is currently a big part of news. Of news relevant. It's 30 million listeners per day. But the question here is, what does radio need to do to bridge the gap between the current race of news reporting and the habit and experiences of the generation to listen to news? But enough about this. I will welcome 4 speakers for today's session. The first one is Stefan Möller. He is the president of Association of European Radio, the umbrella organization for commercial radio broadcasting in Germany. He is also the CEO of Radio Finland. He will be guiding us into the session with his opening on the relevance of radio broadcasting from a European perspective. So a warm welcome to Stefan Möller, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Danke. Wow, the last session and so many people here. Great. Congratulations upon the 40-year anniversary. That's a really great achievement. I see that many countries in Europe are heading for the 40 years anniversary. I come from Finland, and we are celebrating it next year. And 40 years ago, it wasn't, we could say, not maybe the first, but one audio revolution, because things changed. How people got information, news, and especially the music that they liked. And it also changed the way public service broadcasters did their broadcasting in a positive way also, because there was a competitor now coming along. And I think it made good for the whole radio industry as a total. But now I think we need to say thank you to the past and face the future from a new position, because there's a new audio revolution going on. We live in a different environment when it comes to media consumption. We live in a harder competition when it comes to the advertising market. We need to assure that radio is easy to access, that we exist on different platforms. Consumers don't care about technology. What matters is that it's easy to access and easy to use. Radio is for a long time been a hybrid media. We are and need to be on the internet, on FM, on DAB, DAB+, on applications, and on other services. We need to be present on all devices that people use for communication, for where they get their news and entertainment. For a long time now, we have not been the only medium in the car. And that's one very good reason why many of us work together with Radio Player. I see that Caroline Grasset from Radio Player is here. Good to have you here. This might be embarrassing, but Caroline is a fantastic singer. And I have a playlist when I have a hard time go to sleep, and a few songs from her band is on there. So I have fallen asleep listening to Caroline singing.
Oh, thank you so much. That's high praise.
Anyway, we need cooperation, also within the industry of commercial radio, but also between public service broadcaster and the private radio, to be able to compete with the competition. And together, we can also narrow the gap between analog, slice FM, and digital. Radio is for many years now been seen as the most trusted media. A very important feature in these times of crisis with fake news and disinformation. Radio remains your trusted guide. But radio is a very regulated media. And I say, we need no more advertising restrictions, period. Commercial radio is almost solely funded by advertising. Lawmakers, politicians, decision makers needs to understand that in order to have a healthy business, we cannot cope with unnecessary advertising restrictions, new regulations, and bans. Lawmakers, and we are working for it in AR also, need to protect equal competition, to see that we have the same rules as the competitor. For example, with the international platforms. And I don't think we're in balance yet. If a product or service can be legally sold or manufactured, why can't we as radio be able to tell that to people, to give that information? We need to tell the audience about it. So I also raised the questions towards lawmakers. Why do you think, what is the purpose of advertising? Why does commercial exist? Because it's there to inform where and how you can get a product or service. Politicians many times has the illusion that they protect the people by banning advertising. Advertising keeps people aware of competition and that they have alternatives. Advertising tells our audience that they have options, and it also grows people's know-how of the market and give them price know-how. AER protects media pluralism and diversity in the media market, so that media users have different sources for their news, information, music, and entertainment. I believe that radio is going to be very important in people's lives from here on and into the future. We have learned a lot of new phrases: immersive audio, artificial intelligence, and who knows what is coming up next. But audio is always going to be there for us. Radio as an industry, especially commercial radio, has never got anything for free. It has always had to prove its strength. Many might say that it's a negative thing that we need to go on and prove, but I think it also has made radio strong, that we accept, okay, this is the situation, and then we go out proving ourselves. And radio cannot afford to make bad content. There's a lot of audio out there, and not everything is good, and not all audio is to be trusted. But radio, your trusted guy, will be there for you. So let's hope and work for that also the lawmakers understands what is best for the public ear. Thank you, and congratulations for the 40 years.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Carsten Heuer. He is currently the CEO of one of the biggest radio stations in Germany, Antenne Niedersachsen. He has over 20 years of experience with different radios and a strong background as a program director. So he will be able to talk to us about his experience from the content perspective as a program director, and also the commercial and strategy perspective of a CEO level. So welcome, Carsten Heuer, everybody. Thank you so much.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. I think for the most of you it's the last session before the first beer, so let's jump into it. Thanks to the Radiodays Europe and Faunet for organizing and having me today. It's a pleasure for me to reflect on the journey of private radio over the past 4 decades and to contemplate some of the challenges that lie ahead of us. These days we are celebrating 40 years of private radio, we heard it, and for Gen Z, 40 years must sound like something historical or ancient. So let me start how you start a old story from the past. Let's start like a fairy tale. Once upon a time, private radio had been the local hero of the airwaves and the unsung champion of communities. From the crowded city blocks to the quiet county lanes, we've been the pulse of the neighborhood and the heartbeat of local news. But let's face it, on our hero's journey, the digital dragon is breathing down our necks and threatening our cozy corner of the broadcasting universe. With the rise of social media titans, streaming giants, and podcast powerhouses, the road ahead of us is covered with more potholes than a backcountry dirt track. The internet and social media has changed the way information is consumed, challenging traditional news models and forcing radio to adapt or risk irrelevance. Moreover, fake news and misinformation presents a threat to the integrity of journalism as a whole, requiring radio to uphold high standards and ethics in our reporting, which is not that easy if the money is tight. Talking about money, Stefan, you mentioned some points. Trying to sell radio advertising these days is a tough one. Advertisers are flocking to digital platforms faster than you can say, Alexa, play Despacito. And here we are, convincing them that radio ads are still relevant and they are still buying it, but the days we invited our customers on expensive weekend trips are over, or like a colleague of mine say, we cannot throw Scampi at them any longer. So. Furthermore, think about the regulated environment. We have to navigate through complex regulations governing content, licensing, ownership. Changes in that area can impact the operational and financial viability of private radio. Yet, fear not, dear listeners, private radio's secret weapon still is our dedication to the local scene. While the digital giants may dazzle with their global reach and their flashy algorithms, they never hold a candle to the intimate connection we still have with our listeners.
Amen.
Think about it. When you tune in your favorite local radio station, you're not just getting the latest headlines or the hottest hits. You're getting a slice of home and a feeling of community that no algorithm can ever replicate. We are not just broadcasters, we are the storyteller of the neighborhood and the cheerleader of hometown pride, and that remains important for all target groups. So as we turn pages to the next chapter in the history of private radio, let's protect the power of our local strength like never before. Let's double down on our commitment to community engagement, delivering news and information tailored to the unique needs and interests of our listeners. To learn about these needs, we have more opportunities than we had ever before, but we have to embrace them. We have to do data analytics and audience insights to deliver the right content. Let's face the digital challenge, leveraging social media and streaming to amplify our local voice and extend our reach beyond the FM and the DAB dial. I do think that there are several trends on the market we have to acknowledge in this perspective. First of all, podcasting. Radio should increasingly pivot towards podcasting formats to reach wider and younger audiences. With our brand recognition for music, personalities, talk, or local content, there are still unused opportunities. AI-generated content could automate aspects of news productions, such as generating summaries or transcribing interviews, and there's much more to come in this field. And there are also new monetization models. First of all, targeted advertising based on listener profiles. In our program strategies, the collection of listener data must be implemented, although we have to face a lot of regulation in this area. And finally, we have to collaborate on a national, maybe on an international basis. Yes, we have to face the challenges of a new time, and we can't rewind, but after all, I decided to stay positive. And even if it's just a small consolation, video didn't kill the radio star, even the coronavirus did. Hopefully TikTok will not. So let's embrace the digital universe for the sake of the radio star. And never forget the roots that anchor us to the communities we serve, the listeners who welcome us to their homes, and the story that bind us together like family. Let's never forget that while the world may be getting smaller, the power of local radio to bring people together will always be there. So here's to 40 years of private radio and to the countless adventures that lie ahead of us. Let's crank up the volume, raise our antennas high, and keep the local spirit alive, kicking for the generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please come to me. Please come to the table. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Vanessa Bitter. She is the program manager of the Year of the News project by the joint initiative of the German media sector Use the News. With their initiative Year of the News, the partners aim to draw attention to the embrace of trustworthy information and promote the safe use of news, especially among teenagers and young adults. In her presentation, Vanessa will be provide us with information from recent studies and the expectation and habit of young generation when it comes to consumption news. Welcome, Vanessa Bitter. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. I'm happy to be here and to tell you a little bit more about Use the News, our news initiative. And Use the News was founded 4 years ago by the German press agency DPA and the city of Hamburg. And our key goal is to promote news literacy among young people and to learn more about their news consumption. And the reason why we are doing this is obvious. Many young people are turning away from traditional media, and we have to find new approaches how to reach this young audience and to win them back for verified and trustworthy news. And how do we do that exactly at Use the News? First of all, everything what we do is based on scientific research. Therefore, we work together with the Leibniz Institute for Media Research in Germany, who's also the partner of the Reuters Institute. And then we convert this data and these findings into practical know-how for newsrooms, for schools, and we work together with our so-called newsy community, which are 14 to 24-year-olds who are very competent in using news and who are willing to engage into journalism. And yeah, we want to work with them and to connect them with our media partners for different projects. This is our broad partner network in Germany that involves around 30 partners of the media and education sector, and including also the public broadcasters and radio stations and other publishers and magazines in Germany. And as I mentioned before, the basis of our work are our studies. And the first study that we published 3 years ago revealed a wide information gap among the young generation. And we identified four, oh, that was too much. We identified 4 user groups, and as you can see here, basically 1/3 of the 14 to 24-year-olds belong to the group that we call low information oriented. And these youngsters and young people hardly know what journalism is and what it can do, and they almost exclusively uses their news via social media. Furthermore, one of our main results of our studies was a question of a 16-year-old girl who said, I have no clue why news is relevant for my life. So to reach the young audience, we really have to draw a connection to their everyday lives and to offer a more variety of different perspectives, and also use a simple language to address the young audience. And of course, we have to pay more attention in media education in order to to promote news literacy and to make the young people aware of the function and the relevance of journalism for our society and democracy. And this is also why we have announced together with our media partners the Year of News in 2024. And we want to draw attention to the relevance of journalism for our democracy and society, and work together with our different media partners on some new concepts to reach the young audience. And we have mainly 4 measures in the Year of News. The first one is that we launched a big campaign a few weeks ago in order to address the German population and to make aware of the dangers of fake news and disinformation. And then we have our so-called Social News Daily format, which is a new format on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And we work together with our media partners on a new social media format and experiment with new formats and try to find an answer to the question, why is news relevant for my life? And then we have our so-called news camps. These are camps which run all over Germany, and the idea is that we want to give young people and especially school students the opportunity to learn more about the journalistic work and about fact-checking methods, for example. And then we have our final component, the model projects, in which we connect our local media partners and school students in school classes. And the idea is that the school students produce their own content, for example, podcasts or radio shows, together with our media partners, and then the media partner is publishing the content on their platform. And the results so far are pretty encouraging because we see if we give the young people the opportunity to learn more about content that directly involves their lives, and also when we connect them with our media partners and let them be part of the whole process, that unlocks a lot of attention and energy. So this was a short introduction in our Year of News, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Vanessa. Last but not least, we have Christian Schalt. He is the Chief Digital Officer of RTL Radio and the Managing Director of the Audio Alliance, the RTL Podcast Powerhouse. He is responsible for the digital transformation and innovation of all stations of the RTL Group, and he will present us a few different examples of interesting and recent digital news project directly from Radio Newsroom Germany. Welcome, Christian Schalt.
Yeah, this is me, but I've been introduced so far, so I don't spend too much on me. Let's really talk a little bit about practical implementations of news. We all know that when it comes to building successful radio stations, there are some very fundamental pillars, and it's usually music and its personalities. So when it comes to news, it's usually of less importance. But if you ask people what is relevant on your radio station, and this is real research from Berlin, they often say news is quite important. So this is, again, real research, and we ask people how important is it that your local morning show has regular news updates, and the vast majority, 74%, say it's important. Yeah, and this is an interesting feedback. At the same time, news have to be interesting and relatable, and they have to be informative and entertaining. Yeah, so the question is, what is relevant, what is informative, and what is entertaining to people? So let's look at some of the examples. One of the relevant areas is usually local news. And this here is the example of Radio Hamburg, our station in Hamburg. And they use local news content as a digital fisher net. So they use it to drive traffic from Google to their platforms. They use it as audio bulletins on smart speakers, whether it's Google or Alexa. or their own platforms like the website or the app. And they also use the interest for local news as a driver for direct messaging in the app. So you can register on the Radio Hamburg app for local news, and then you get informed and a push notification once there's something published. So it's kind of a digital fisher net in order to get awareness for the station's platforms. Then there's even more relevant content. And as a rule of thumb, the more relevant a news content is, the more impact you have. And this is the example of Antenne Niedersachsen in northern Germany and Antenne Bayern in southern Germany. And they do the so-called school cancellation news. So when in winter it's a very snowy or icy day and there are school closures, you get the updates on the station's website or on the app. And if you're a pupil or parents or probably teachers, it's of high relevance. And again, the more relevant, the bigger the impact. And these are real numbers from Antenne Bayern, from the recent news in January 16th this year. And when they announced the school closures on that day, they got almost 600,000 visitors on this news section of their website. So it's of high relevance and again, also with a high impact. We all have, or probably most of us have also a kind of an all-time classic, and that is traffic news. And we often forget this being part of radio news. Here are a couple of examples from Germany, kind of best practice. We have big relevance also for traffic news, and FFH does it with artificial voices, announcing travel news in their app. PSR does it with a so-called traffic center where people can see all the traffic information from the region. And here Radio Essen, as an example, does a traffic club where listeners can report new traffic jams, and they are then announced on the radio station. It's an all-time classic, but it still shows that if it's relevant, people are quite interactive with the station, and it creates a lot of traffic when it comes to traffic. And news can also be an attention getter in both ways. So this is a rather complex graph we prepared, so I will walk you through. So radio news can be quite an attention getter on social media, and at the same time, social media news can be an attention getter for radio news. So we see some radio stations doing postings on social media. The left one is from Antenne Thüringen in Germany on Instagram, the right one from FFH on Twitter. The left one was about the rubbish that was about to fall down from the outer space when the ISS got, I don't know what they lost, I think a battery. So this was a warning and created some attention on social media. And on the other hand, and this is what Big FM does recently, they use social media news as an attention getter for radio news. So they now start the hourly radio news with a trend from social media in order to get attention to their local radio news. And they did a survey beforehand to identify what areas, topics of interest are for this target group. And they came up with the kind of big five, something about sustainability, climate change, innovation, startups, tech, everything related to career and, let's say, personal finance, relationship, sex and psychology, and the more music-leaning pop culture and artists. And they use one of these as an attention getter for their radio news, usually derived from social media. And as a last one, and this is often overlooked from radio perspective, news and playlists are often a great fit. And especially for the next maybe 40 years, also a big opportunity for radio news, because many of the music streaming services build personalized playlists that consist of personalized music, of course, but also of radio news or podcast. Here's the example of Spotify's Daily Drive, which is the daily playlist enriched with music, but also with local or national news content. And in this case, they included the news about national and world news. They included something about sports, the recent update from the Bundesliga, and they included a stock market update, which is also a short form news, audio, podcast produced in Germany. So I think this is a big opportunity and something we are overlooking. Radio news can be very interesting when it comes to getting attention on social media, and at the same time it's useful to bring all these people to radio news in order to get more attention on our actual content. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please come all in the middle. Please come in the middle. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Just come up here to me. So don't walk away, please.
No, I stay here.
So now I have some questions for you guys. First one is for you, Carsten. We just heard about different examples of digital news from Christian. Do you think this is the future, or what else does radio need to get more attractive for the digital news?
I think Christian's charts are a really good insight, because you see that you have to go on all platforms. Radio isn't just audio any longer. And there's one key fact which I would like to point out. It's, when it comes to international conflicts like Ukraine or Gaza, private radio is not to be seen as the information source number one. But if you have local or regional topics, we are. Yeah, think about a flood catastrophe or snow chaos, or we see the school cancellations. There we have our strength, and these strengths we have to transfer to all platforms. And what we do have is really good content. And to have good content, we need good talent. We need younger people from all perspectives, and we have to invest in humans. I think that's very important.
Yes, I think this so too. So to you, Vanessa, if we look at the bigger from the media market, my question to you is, Use the News is a very unique project with politics and commercial broadcasters supported by politics, which means new allowance do we need for the which new allowance do we need for the radio industry and media industry to be able to address the challenge that you highlighted in your presentation?
Yeah, I think to encounter all the challenges and to find long-term solutions to reach the young audience, it just becomes more and more important that we have such collaborations and cooperations. And for example, that public and private radio stations work together, but also radio stations with podcasters and content creators. And we gained there a lot of positive experience at Use the News, and see that when our media partners work together, we find solutions and they can connect. And as we see in the Year of News at our new social media format, Social News Daily, where our media partners work on this new formats to reach the young audience, we see that there's a lot of experience that we gain, and that the partners can connect and learn from each other. And I think this will be more and more be important. And furthermore, I think that it's in all these projects, we really have to be in contact with the generation itself, and that the Generation Z or the young people be in part of the projects and the process. And therefore we have also to find new networks, for example, to connect with the young audience itself.
So work with the younger generation to reach the younger generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Christian, we have heard from Vanessa that about 50% of teenagers and young adults don't think it's important to keep up with news and current events, and they often feel like a lack of connection to their personal everyday lives. You did show us some examples. With these examples in mind, what can radio stations do on their daily basis within their programs to make the news more attractive also to the younger people?
Yeah, I think the main question is really to find the relevance, and that's a key concept. If people are interested in news and if it's affecting their daily lives, they do use the news. But of course, it's sometimes a challenge to find the relevance for certain target groups. I mean, we talked a lot about school cancellations. Mm-hmm. That is definitely a topic of high relevance for younger people. But we also see it's a peak usage. So you have it once if there's really a storm or snowy weather, and the challenge is to keep them on a daily basis. And that's really a challenge. And at the same time, I think one of the one of the key challenges we're facing is also to get awareness. So it's not enough just to have the relevant and useful news, but also to create awareness on your own platforms, but also on all the platforms younger people are using. So it's really important to be there and to try to get their attention there, and ideally to convert them onto your platform.
Okay, thank you so much. We need to wrap up now, so I have one question for all of you. Please answer in 2 or 3 sentences because we don't have much time. What do you think news distribution will look like in the coming years of radio? Do you foresee any changes? What makes you feel positive about the future of radio and news as an information platform for the younger generation?
Yeah, I already have the microphone in my hand, so I might start first. I think, and we touched a couple of slightly more negative outlooks. I think there's one quite positive and confident outlook, that is we are able to personalize much more content. All the technology is working towards a more personalized news delivery, and I think this is something we can facilitate on. So based on your interests, based on your topics that you're interested in, you get much more audio delivered. But we have to be where young audiences are, especially integrating them into playlists, being on platforms that are used by them. And I think this will be helping us with generating much more attention for our news and usage. So Vanessa.
Yeah, I think so too, that we have to be there where the audience is. This is a point. And in general, I think that I'm very positive that the radio industry is already doing a lot of things right. For example, it becomes more and more important to present different perspectives and to draw a connection to the everyday lives of the young people and to use simple language. And these are the things that become more and more important in general for the media industry, but also for the radio industry.
Thank you.
Yeah, Vanessa and Christian had some very strong points. I would like to mention one point. We have very strong brands and we are trustworthy. In an environment where all this misinformation is on the way, people can believe in us, and I think that will help in future.
So that's a good thing to end this session. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for attending. Thank you to Faunet, and yeah, we see you later at the party at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.